Chapter 3 Art of the Infection. I truly hope that title is not copyrighted. I am also sorry for the staticky thing you hear in the background. It is hot where I am and I need to cool down with my fan, so... Before me or Doggy knew it, we were surrounded by all kinds of monsters. Mother Piggy, another pig that was presumably her husband, and a sheep that looked way overdue for shearing. The first time I looked at it, it looked like a raccoon. We're out of gas and completely surrounded, Doggy exclaimed. You think I didn't know that already, Doggy? I asked, knowingly. This is no time for arguing, Detective. We need to find a way out of this situation before we succumb to the infection, Doggy instructed, then started to think of a successful plan. Yeah, you're right, I said, then began looking out at the car. To our left was an intact building, but it seemed that no other buildings were open. It looks like we'll have to go through the gallery. Okay, here's what I want you to do, Doggy told me, and expected me to listen. On 3, we open the doors, rush out of the car, and into that building. Once inside, we seal it off. Got it? Yeah, sure, I agreed. On your mark. 1, 2, 3, Doggy yelled. We both pushed open our doors and started running like a cheetah trying to escape its fate. Lucky for us, the infected, I started to call them, weren't able to keep up with us, and we made it into the gallery. Before they could find their way in, we dashed in separate directions to find items to seal the door up. We messed with the wrench jig, put planks up, and locked the door. Once we sealed it up, we stepped back to catch a breath. Do you think we're safe? I asked Doggy. For now, he replied, but I don't think we will be for long. Just as he said that, a few seconds later, something began banging on the door pretty aggressively, then stopped briefly. What was that? I said as I backed away from the door. Silence took over the room, and Doggy and I were back to back, ready to defend each other. I don't know, he said, knowingly. Let's just make the most of our time here. We went our separate ways, but before that, I felt like I had to bring something up to the boss man. Doggy, wait, I said, grabbing his wrist. He looked back at me with curiosity and concern. What is it? Some of those monsters looked familiar, I noted. I'm scared that our friends may have fallen victim to the infection. What if our loved ones are turned into mindless drones by the end of this tragic event? And there's no way to cure them. You know where we are, Polaris? He told me. But now is a very, very dark time. I know you want to go and change the past, but you can't. The past is what drove us into the present, and this is what we're left with now, an infection. Just try to work through it, and maybe sooner or later, we will find a cure. There will be a day that we can save our loved ones who are infected. But until that time, you need to stay strong for everyone who is depending on someone to find a cure to make the world a better place. Can you do that? Oh, okay, I stuttered. For all the lost souls of people's loved ones out there, I'm doing this for them. We went our separate ways as Doggy dashed to his left, into a room with a dinosaur skeleton in a glass container so it would prevent anyone from breaking its fragile bones. I went upstairs, looked around, and found a red key, orange key, and gold safe. I grabbed the red key, opened up its door on the opposite side where it was, and found the blue key. I saw its door right when I got the red key, so I took the blue key and to the other side once more, opened up the door to find a green key. I saw Doggy head upstairs with a plank in his hand, placed it down, and he made it to the other side of the plank, giving him a hammer. After heading downstairs and using the green key, I found the gold key, so I went to use that. And what waited inside for me, in the safe, was a bone. What? I said to myself. Why would I need a I got cut off by a bat hitting the safe. What an impact, I thought. I looked up and saw that green piggy from when we were surrounded in the car earlier. How did you get in here? Doggy! Doggy came to my aid, but didn't want to get remotely close to the infected to have himself succumb to it. "What's going on here?" he asked as I backed away. But the piggy was getting closer by the second. "Do you have anything to knock him out with?" "I only found this bone, but I reluctantly said, but Doggy cut me off. "Give me the bone," he said, desperately. I had no idea what he was planning to do with the bone once he retrieved it, but I threw it over Father Piggy's head and he caught it. "Don't even think about laying a finger on that detective right there, mister." Father Piggy, I decided to call this pig, turned around and had a devious glare while staring at him. "Polar, go. I'll take care of him while you try and get the door open." And just like that, I took off running. I saw that Doggy never picked up the hammer, so I had to sneak by their little fight and get the hammer to use it on the door, crawl space, and to unlock the third floor of the gallery. I jumped down from the plank and didn't feel any pain whatsoever, and used the hammer on the door. Then went upstairs to open up the third floor, only to find the purple safe, the wrench, and an unnecessarily but highly decorative egg. I will definitely need this egg for later, I thought. I then grabbed the wrench and went down the crawl space to use it on the door, to open up the restricted area that I had assumed should normally be open. Being a fallen angel and a demon with powers, fall damage didn't concern me at the moment. I didn't have time to take the stairs, so I took a few steps and jumped off, not taking any damage, and fixed the door. I then went to find the lasers to open up that area, while I was also thinking about Doggy and how he was doing against Father Piggy. When I fixed up the lasers, I walked past its gate to find an orange key, and its door was just a bit around the corner. So I went to use that, and behind that door was another decorative egg. Since there was nothing else for me to use, I grabbed the egg and went out of that section of the gallery, looking where this egg was meant to go. I saw another egg in the middle of the green key room, which looked remotely like the one I was holding, so I placed it in there, and it looked like I needed to retrieve that green egg on the top floor, as it would open up the white key. Before I walked up to the second floor, I didn't hear as many blows being landed, so I assumed it was a good thing. When I got up there, I saw Father Piggy face planted on the ground with a bone in his head, unconscious, as Doggy went out the crawl space from the third floor holding the egg I was looking for. "Let's get out of here, eh?" Doggy said, walking downstairs to place the egg down at the podium. Placing the egg down, I heard the glass break, and what dropped from the wall to the floor was the white key. I grabbed the key, and we both walked to the door and unlocked the exit, leading to an alleyway. Detectives first. We both walked out of the place, but I felt like I had to bring another topic up. They just don't stop coming after us, do they? Doggy took one look at me, then to his right, seeing the very long alleyway that was ahead of us. "I don't get it," he replied, scratching his ear. "But hey, it's nothing that we can't handle. After all, remember when we made that arrest in the alleys? Way before this? I mean, yeah, but we weren't arresting these things," I countered. "They don't do anything but attack us." "Listen, detective," Doggy said as he put his hand on my shoulder. "You're a good person. Maybe one of the best ones I've ever met. Even in desperate times, you still held on to your morality. It's the people like you that succeed. As long as you don't change yourself into something you're not, and stay who you are, you'll get to where you need to be." Him saying that made me reflect a bit on the recent events that happened earlier tonight. "You're right, Doggy," I agreed. "I can't let this situation make me lose sight of who I am." "That is great to hear, detective," he started. "Now we should get going and find someplace safe. We'll have time to think on what to do about all of this." "Sounds like a plan," I said, eager to follow his lead. We then continued walking through the alleyway, aware of these infected citizens who would be crawling around Lucella by now. Getting out of that alleyway, we looked for some place to set up camp. Doggy looked to the forest and pointed there. "Maybe we can set up our temporary safe place there," he said, looking at me and waiting for a response. "Sure, we can stop by there." I just hope that it's not crawling with infected, I said, arms crossed and fearing what would be in that campsite. So, just like that, we started walking towards the forest, which was also a campsite, and looked around for camping equipment so that we could set up a tent. I hoped that this lifestyle wasn't temporary for too long. There was a lit campfire and 2 benches. Well, it's not much, but it's what we have to deal with, Doggy said, settling down on the bench and getting ready to sleep. Just at least try to get a few winks of sleep, Detective. We have a big day ahead of us, now that we don't have a humble abode to call a house. As much as I didn't want to sleep on a cold, hard bench, it was the next best thing to a bed, rather than the disappointing, earthy dirt. Settling down on the bench and laying my head against the wood, I closed my eyes in discomfort, but hoped the next day would be better.